afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. We're thrilled to bring our newest offering, Software Reclaim, a new capability of the 1E platform. And yeah, we're really excited to get through this webinar and share the latest from our new offering. So let me go ahead and introduce our speakers today. Um, First off, my name is Sid Bascara. I'm a product marketing manager here at 1E, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Farzana, who's the product owner and who's responsible for Software Reclaim. And today we have a full agenda for you guys. So we'll start off with the 1E overview, and then I'll hand it off to Farzana, who'll go into a little more detail about Software Reclaim, and she'll conclude with a demo. And then we'll have a quick Q&A session at the end. For questions, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we'll try to answer it as we go along. Otherwise, a member of the 1E team will reach out to you with an answer to your question after the webinar is concluded. All right, with that, let's go into the 1E overview. And I would like to start with 1E's purpose. So at 1E, we really reimagine how technology serves people. It creates new ways for IT to shape the future of work. And what I mean by that is that we're thinking about DEX and how we can implement the digital employee experience to shape the future of IT work. So having understood our purpose and the impact we strive for at 1E, let's shift our focus to the practical applications of these values in our technology. So on the next slide, we'll explore the three functional principles that not only define our approach, but also distinguish our platform in the marketplace. These principles are just not philosophies, they are embedded in the very fabric of our offerings, ensuring that not only meet, but really exceed expectations by delivering a seamless experience, robust security, and strategic business alignment. So let's take a closer look at how these principles really translates into value for both the employees as well as the business overall. So firstly, with better experience, our goal is to really make the employee's digital experience as smooth as possible. We do this really by reducing digital friction. We increase productivity, loyalty, satisfaction within their roles. And we work hard really to maximize positive productivity time. And we've seen a significant reduction in experience attrition as a result. And then when it comes to security, we always strive to be more secure. Security is paramount within our platform, and we actively monitor and ensure that devices remain compliant with the latest security standards. So if any risk or compromise is discovered, we have the ability to initiate real-time change on devices, limiting any potential impact. And then lastly, business alignment. Our focus, again, is not only on the individual employee productivity, but also on their ability to really drive revenue through their activities and the customer experiences they create. We're really committed to supporting businesses and managing costs, whether it's device support, hardware upgrades, or like today, where we're talking about software asset investments. And so, in conclusion, the 1E platform is built on these three core principles, providing a better experience for your employees, ensuring a more secure environment, really aligning with the business needs and goals. And together, these principles really allow us to create a robust platform that supports both the individual and the organization's needs. So that's a quick overview of 1E. And now I'd like to hand it over to Farzana to talk a little bit more about Software Reclaim.
Hi, Ron. Sid did a pretty good job at introducing me, but again, I'm Fazana, product owner at 1E. And for the next couple of slides, I really just wanted to talk about Software Reclaim and contextualize what Software Reclaim is about, what is the value, and why did 1E focus on making Software Reclaim a capability, and what exactly does it solve? So when we ask the question, what does Software Reclaim solve? Really, there are three main categories. This would be cost, security, and employee experience. So covering the first area, cost. So now more than ever, organizations need to see the cost savings firsthand. And organizations want to have software which actually benefits their company as opposed to having numerous amounts of software which are simply just not being used. So software reclaim does exactly that. It allows you to see what software you're using the most and what software you're simply not using. And in turn, you're able to uninstall the software and save cost. The next would be security. So interestingly enough, statistics show that the risk of cyber threats is actually increasing. And what this means is now more than ever, we want to ensure that the software that you have in your organization on devices is secure. And if there is a security threat, then we are able to quickly mitigate that threat and ensure that you have a safe organization. Finally, you've got employee experience. So here at 1E, we want to ensure that everything we do ties back to employee experience and really benefiting employees and ensuring that they're able to maximize their productivity. And overall, as we know, that there is a positive correlation between productivity and the success of a business. So through Software Reclaim, we focus on employee experience by really giving the end user a voice, by being able to know what software actually benefits the day-to-day responsibilities and what does not. So hence it can be uninstalled. So I am going to provide a demo, but I quickly just wanted to go through the main features and functionality behind Software Reclaim and what the purpose behind each of these are. So the first would be a software usage summary. So this is where you've got a full understanding of your software estate and you're able to see all your software in one place. But really the value over here is being able to categorize this under 4 umbrellas. And the way that this has been done is through used, rarely used, unused, and unreported. So what this means is that you're able to see any used software. So this would be any software that's been used in the past 30 days. And then we have rarely used. So this is software that's been used between 31 and 90 days. Unused would be any software that has simply not been used in the past 90 days. And then unreported is any software that's been installed in the past 7 days and any software that does not have that capability to track usage that would fall under unreported. The next feature is reclamation rules. And really, reclamation rules is where our automation and remediation capabilities come through. So we want to be able to quickly uninstall software if we do not have use out of it and it's not efficient for the business. And there's 3 uninstall criteria. So you've got do not uninstall, which very self-explanatory, that would keep the software within the device. You've got optional uninstall, which is where we give the end user a voice, and I'll go more into that during the demo. And then we have mandatory uninstall. So again, like I mentioned, we want to ensure that we are preventing any possibility of security threats. And mandatory uninstall is beneficial here because it quickly uninstalls software from your device and ensures that your environment is safe. Then you've got policy evaluation. So one of the key things that customers always tell us is that we want to know the impact of a policy before we push the policy out and essentially deploy it. And this is exactly what policy evaluation allows us to do. So policy evaluation is knowing the impact of a policy and being able to understand what devices you're targeting through your management group and what the policy criteria was. So did you uninstall it through an optional uninstall, a mandatory uninstall, or a do not uninstall? Another exciting change that we've made in Software Reclaim is the integration through our 1E client. And what this means is that the installation process has become extremely more seamless and easy. As it's a single installation, you've got your 1E client. And not only is this easier, but this is how the Reclaim policies get pushed out. So through your 1E client, you're able to push out your policies and interact between Software Reclaim and your end devices. And then finally, we've got savings. So this is where you are able to have a comprehensive understanding of where you're saving the most. So your financial officers, your software administrators, they would want to get back to the business and be able to explain what software is benefiting the company the most and what can be uninstalled and save the organization cost. So through the savings page, you're able to see not only cumulative savings, but also monthly savings. We also do have an export tool throughout the product. And what that means is that you're able to export that data and place it wherever you need it to either do an audit or just analyze that data further for whatever your business needs are. So that is the features, but I want to go through the demo and just explain more in detail. So let me just get my demo environment up. Over here. So this is software reclaim, and here we've got the landing page. So this is our landing page where, again, like I mentioned, you've got that holistic overview of your software estate, and you're able to see all the software associated within your organization. So you've got your software based off of categories. But before I go into this, I just wanted to quickly explain how this has been processed. So the way that we filter the software data is via management groups. So you're able to categorize software according to devices. And the way that organizations do this the most is either creating a management group for a specific location, so a region, or maybe you want to create a management group for a specific department. And this way you're able to see all the software associated to that management group, and it allows us to just have refined data as opposed to your global management group, which would be all management groups under one umbrella. So being able to see all your software in one place. So I'm just going to keep the environment management group as global so we can just see everything. So again, like I mentioned, you're able to have your high visibility of different usage. So if I just get rid of the license pool filter, what this allows us to do is see the different usage categories. So I can quickly see that I've got software that is being used. I've also got software that's been rarely used and unused. The next chart just goes into more detail on what category do these softwares actually fall under. So is it storage networks? Is it video conferences? What exactly are these softwares? And then finally, you've got our top 10 saving opportunities. And the way that we've calculated this formula is by multiplying rarely used and unused software by the units of that specific software. And then we've calculated how much an organization is potentially saving. And we're able to see up to 10 saving opportunities. And then we've got our software table. Again, this has been organized through VTV. So you've got your vendor, you've got your title, you've got your version and edition. And like I mentioned, it is under used, rarely used, unused, and unreported. And then you're also able to see your management group policies that is associated with that. And then we move into our reclaim policies. So I'm just going to go to my local device because I want to, give me 1 second, let me just move this across. So if I go to my local device, I actually want to deploy a policy to show you firsthand what this looks like and how we're able to push optional and mandatory policies. So let me just relog into my environment. And then whilst we're waiting for that to load, we can just go into the other environment, go through the other pages. Just make sure I'm signed in. So The next page is reclaim history. So this is where we've got all our reclaim policies in one page. So you're able to have that historical view and understand what the status of those policies were, regardless of when they were sent out. So I could, again, filter this through to a specific management group. So for example, if I wanted to see all Mac devices, we don't have any specific Mac devices here, but for example, Windows devices, if I wanted to see every policy associated that was targeting Windows devices, this would be the list here. But again, let's go to global. And we're able to just have a easy understanding of what the software administrator pushed through. And then we have policies themselves. So these are the policies that have actually been implemented, and you're able to see what specific software we've been targeting, what edition, if it is applicable, and what category did it fall under. So did we push a policy for used software, rarely used, unused, or unreported? And what the status of that was. We're also able to specify to active policies to see anything that is actually in progress. And then let me just make sure. Okay, so my local environment has logged on. So I'm going to actually push through the policy. So the way that this would happen is, let me go down and choose a software. So for example, I'm going to choose a Microsoft software, and it's an update for Edge. So I'm going to add a policy. I've only got one management group associated to my local environment, but if I had multiple, I could simply just click global, and what that would do is target every single management group across my organization. So I'm just simply going to click Windows 10, and then I'm able to filter through each section. So the first section is product. So this is all the relevant product information. So this will be the vendor name, the title, what edition, if it is applicable, but again, this is not for the specific software, the colloquial version and the actual version. And what I'm able to do also is target all versions through the asterisk symbol, but I'm just going to keep it as is and just keep it as the version that we've selected. And then you've got version expansion. So if there is a uninstall string associated with the software, so this is where we will put the uninstall string. And then also we can apply a cost. So for example, if I had multiple versions and I wanted to do a quick fill and apply that uninstall string across all versions very quickly, then this is how I would do so. But again, seeing as I've got one version, I don't have an uninstall string, but I'm just going to apply a cost of 300 USD, and I'm going to apply my uninstall criteria. So this is the most pivotal part of applying a policy. And I'm going to do an option uninstall. And what that means is that I am going to inform the end user that I want to uninstall this policy and just make sure that they have zero objections, and we're able to seamlessly uninstall the policy. Mandatory uninstall would mean that I don't want any user interaction. As a software administrator, I just want to simply uninstall the software, and I don't want to consider the end user's voice. And this could be, again, done in a situation where there was a security threat and we just need quick uninstallation. But before I publish the software, I'm going to evaluate it. So like I mentioned when talking about the functions, evaluating just allows the administrator to understand the impact of the software before they actually deploy it. So here I'm able to see my software, how much is it associated? So I've got 300 cost, what domain name is it, what the host name is, and most importantly, what the criteria, uninstall criteria is. So we've marked this for optional uninstall. And then I'm going to publish the policy. So the policy has been successfully published. And what this would mean is that as the end user, all end users have a 1E client device. And as the end user, within 3 minutes, because that's how the configuration has been set up, I would get a notification and it would let me know that I need to give an answer whether I want to keep the software or I would allow the software administrator to uninstall software. So that does have a configured time of 3 minutes. So I will go back to the demo. I've pretty much covered all aspects of the capability itself. And I guess we can do any questions that we have whilst waiting for the pop-up to appear. If there are any questions.
Yeah. So let's go through a couple questions right now, Farzana. So the first question, you might have covered this already, is can we do blacklisting using software reclaim?
Yes. So blacklisting, again, this is where we apply policy. And if I just create new policy here, so this would be the mandatory uninstall. So blacklisting is specifically valuable for security administrators and software administrators because you want to quickly uninstall, and we are able to do this through software reclaim.
Perfect. Thank you. Then one other question for right now is how many optional policies can be sent at a time?
So at a time, we're able to send out 3 optional policies. And that's just the way that we've set out the configuration because we don't want to risk software administrators maximizing the number of optional policies and impacting the end product. So we've set a limit of 3 policies, and that's the number that we advise administrators to carry out.
Perfect. And then if you have time for one more, we got just one in right now. How is software usage gathered? Is it through SCCM, the 1E agent? And can you define what the .exe to meter is?
Yes, so for software reclaim, the first iteration, we just focused on the one client or the agent. So really, this is how it's done. We actually, for software reclaim, we don't have any SSCM support. The first iteration really is just focusing on ensuring that software reclaim is a SaaS only compatible capability. And we really just wanted to emphasize the 1E client integration. So that's how the reclaimer and that side of things work. It's through the 1E client. And Sid, what was the second part of that question?
Can you define what the .exe to meters is?
Um, I would have to get back to you on that, just because I don't have the full answer, and I just want to make sure I give the right answer for that. But whoever asks that question, I'll make sure to get back on
Awesome.
that.
Thank you.
No worries. And yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I'll reshare it once the pop-up appears in the client machine. It does take a few minutes based on the configuration. But yeah, that is the demo. If there are any more questions.
Yes, we do have a couple more. Um, so has RBAC changed from App Clarity?
So no. So again, RBAC has stayed exactly the same as App Clarity. We didn't want to make any RBAC or functionality changes because we just wanted to ensure that for customers that migration from App Clarity to Software Reclaim is seamless and we don't have any technical changes which interferes with that migration. So RBAC exactly the same. The only thing that would be different is the naming, but that does not impact customers directly. It's quite literally just app clarity to software reclaim. But aside from that, the RBAC is all the same.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Farzana.
No
And then
worries.
next question is it kind of goes back to the 1E agent, but a little more in detail, is where are we exactly getting the software data from?
So the software data is actually derived from inventory insights. So one inventory insights. So the way that we get data into software reclaim is we've got inventory insights, and that's where we've got all our software data in one place. So we've got version information, edition information, what the vendors are, and then the software reclaim migrates that data into reclaim and has it visible for the UI. But again, that's why if you're as a customer, you would need both software reclaim and inventory insights to maximize your usage and just be able to see all your software in the UI.
Perfect. And then the last question that we have is the software data just add or removing data?
Is the sorry, if you repeat that one more time, if the
Is the
software
software data just add remove data?
add remove data,
Yeah.
I'm not completely sure
Can
what the
Yeah,
question.
is there any way, Craig, if you can provide a little bit more clarity of exactly what you're asking for? Oh, is the what he's asking is the data coming from Windows add remove directly, the software data?
Is the software coming directly? Let me just see the question itself because I may be able. Uh, in other words, the data comes from Windows, add, remove. Um, so the software data is coming from inventory insights. Maybe I'm understanding the question. Come from Windows, add, remove. I would have to get back to you on that, Craig, because again, I'm not completely sure the wording of the question, but I'll get back to you and just make sure that I've got an answer.
Perfect. And I think that's all the questions that we've had so far. Again, for those of you who had any outstanding answers, we'll make sure the 1E team gets back with you guys. And again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join this webinar today. And again, if you guys have any other questions about software reclaim or anything else about 1E or the 1E platform itself, please reach out to us. Otherwise, I hope all of you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.